Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, downloading, and subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm 12 Kyle. Check this out. On this podcast, what I want to talk about is lessons that you learn in life, right? I think if you live long enough and you pay attention, at some point, you'll learn a few things. The problem is most of us don't pay attention. We go through life experiencing things and we just don't pay attention. The other day I was messing around on my computer and I was going through these files and I found some things that I wrote a few years ago, right? Because I'm a writer. I don't really publish a lot of stuff as much as I used to, but I still write. I write from time to time. And what was fascinating was some of the things that I wrote. I was just talking about some life lessons. And I was like, you know what? That would be pretty nice to kind of share that stuff on the podcast. I think one of the things that we as people don't do is that sometimes you have to kind of stop and reflect about where you are. And more importantly, where you're going. But again, over a period of time, you learn things. You learn things about yourself, no matter how old you are. Some people tend to reflect each year at the turn of the new year. Some people reflect every birthday, I guess. But for me, whenever I reflect or I just think about some of the lessons that I've learned over a period of time in my life, it kind of makes me think a little bit deeper than just what the initial thought is. For example, like one of the things that I wrote down was life's lessons. Surround yourself with friends who will tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. Oh man, I could write a book about that. A lot of times, more often than not, sometimes we tend to surround ourselves with people who won't shoot us straight. I think no matter what you do, it is to your benefit to surround yourself with people who will hold you accountable. Your friends, your family, whomever, people that'll call you out on your bullshit. And, don't think that you're not on some bullshit sometimes. Because you are. We all are. If we want to keep it a buck. But yeah, surround yourself with friends who will tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. I feel fortunate enough that I have those kind of friends. It's not often that we have these kind of sessions, but yeah, if I did something foul, or if I said something foul, or if I did something and I just didn't understand the perspective or whatever the case may be, they'll tell me, and that's what you need. You don't need yes men. And I feel very confident in saying that, like, if tomorrow I became like a lottery winner and I won, like, let's say, I don't know, $200 million. My friends will still be my friends and they still tell me what I needed to hear, not what I wanted to hear. Nobody's going to be a yes man just to be on the payroll, because there won't be a payroll. But if there were a payroll, I don't have those kind of friends. Another life's lesson: make your plan, work your plan. Man, if I had a dime for every time my father told me that. And my dad, we talk about it a lot, even to this day, and he still tells me that. So what's your plan? He'll ask me that. Okay, like, what's your plan? I'm like, okay, well, Dad, I don't know. But that's an honest question. And it's a question that we have to ask ourselves. What's your plan? Okay, Maybe things aren't going the way that you want them to go at work. Maybe the career isn't taking the path that you want it to take. What's your plan, black man? What you going to do? You going to sit there and complain about it? You know, and as much as, I didn't necessarily want to hear it, he would always say, what's your plan? And then when I would tell him what my plan was, my plan of action, he'd say, make your plan, work your plan. It sounds simple as hell, but it's so effective. And more than anything else, it holds me accountable to those words that I'm saying. If that's the plan, then hey, let's go with it. And if you don't have a plan, then how do you know where you're going? And that goes with anything in life. Doesn't have to be work, doesn't have to be career, doesn't have to be relationships or whatever the case may be. Make your plan, work your plan. Another lesson. Life is short. Cherish each day. Man, that is so cliche, but I have grown to appreciate those words more so, especially as I've gotten older over the last 10, 15, 20 years. And the reason being is that, when you're younger, you don't even think about your mortality. You don't even think about, not being on earth. You just go about each day. But no, life is short. None of us know like how long we're going to be here. We all know that we have an expiration date. And I'll be damned. I mean, I made a decision a long time ago. I'll be damned if I have bad days and allow those bad days to consume me. I just don't. And it's not to say I don't have bad days. My bad days are few and far between. And even on the worst day, I still try to find something positive about that particular day. I'm just a positive person. So, I'm not really here for the negativity. I don't bring negativity upon myself. So I'm definitely not going to take it from other people. And I steer clear of it. So, and I'm very, cautious about what I let my eyes and ears consume. But yeah, life is short. We don't know. I mean, I'm a firm believer that I think each of us has we have a reason for being here. And I think God has us here for as long as he wants us to be here. Some people, I don't care if you're on earth for 60 years or 6 days. We all serve a purpose. Some leave in the most tragic and horrific ways, and others, go peacefully. But life is short, so you got to enjoy each day. And I do my best to do that. I cherish each day. Every day is a good day. And even the bad days, I find something positive about it. That's just me. Speaking of finding, another life lesson. Find something or someone to laugh at each day. I try to get me a good laugh in every day. I don't care who it is or what it's about. I find something to laugh at. I think we all should. There is there's a clip on YouTube, and it's not often, but from time to time, if I'm having a bad day and I just need something to kind of break the monotony of that bad day and I need to get a good laugh in, there's a clip on YouTube, right? Next time you're on YouTube, and I'm sure many of you have seen it. If you haven't, check it out. But you go to the search box and type in James Brown CNN interview. Man, that is the funniest thing to me to look at online. And what makes it funny is that James is very combative in the interview. I think James is drunk. And we all know James Brown, the Godfather. So, he dodged the questions about, allegations of, domestic abuse, which aren't with that. Now that part's not funny, but if you hear and see how James is talking and acting, and I thought about playing the clip, but you got to see it. Just the audio it does it no justice. But for me, if I need a good laugh, I'm gonna watch James. I'm gonna watch that James Brown interview, and I will crack the hell up every time. Never fails. So yeah, find something to laugh at each day. I don't care what it is. Another life's lesson: never settle and never be content. And that goes with everything. I think sometimes we can settle in what we do for a living. We can settle into a relationship. We can settle into not even being the best person that we can be. And, it's really not fair to you. You can be satisfied, but don't be content. And I think that's one of the things, just on a personal note, that's what pushes me, is that I'm never content. I'm just not. Like, I'm always pushing myself. And what I mean by that is I'm pushing myself to the next level each time. And it's not necessarily something that I have to brag about or show people, or it doesn't necessarily have to be something monetarily or something visible. But push yourself to the next level. But don't ever be content and don't ever settle. Life lesson. Every relationship and every friendship requires work. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you do. I don't care what your sexual orientation is. I don't care what your religious background is. No matter the situation, every relationship and friendship requires work. If it's worth having that relationship, if it's worth having that friendship, then it's required. Then work is a prerequisite for it. You have to put in the work. Ain't nobody gonna be your friend just because you cool. You got to work at that friendship, and that means giving of yourself, giving of your time. And then when you get to a certain age, I mean, like, to be honest, you have to put some of your friends in certain categories based on your availability and their availability. Maybe they're just not there. Maybe they're not willing to put in the work that you're willing to put in to sustain and keep that friendship going. And that's okay. You just got to recognize it for what it is. But that's a life lesson. One of the biggest life lessons: learn from your mistakes and don't repeat them. I remember being in, I want to say I was in maybe 7th or 8th grade, and we were in biology class and talking about these animals or whatever like that. And my teacher at the time, he said something to the effect of, we were talking about, these animals and why they kept doing things a certain way that they were doing things, and it was causing these animals to hurt themselves or something like. I can't remember the exact story, but one thing I do remember him saying is that we as humans are the only living creatures with the ability to reason. Like, dogs don't reason. I mean, dogs bark for a reason, but they don't have the ability to reason. So when you're making mistakes, you can understand why you made that mistake and understand how in which you can't make that mistake again. A dog could really run into a wall, and he may know that he hurt himself by running into the wall, but that doesn't mean he won't run into the wall again, because he has no ability to reason as to why he shouldn't run into a wall. We do. Now, a dog probably is not going to run into a wall for a second time, but he might. because he doesn't reason. Our ability to reason gives us that knowledge and the wherewithal to learn from our mistakes and not repeat them. That's very important. A huge life lesson for me. Love hard. Hey, man. Love ain't easy to come by. You shouldn't be giving your love for free. Each of us probably requires a special type of love. Love hard. The people that you love them hard. Allow them to love you hard. Another life lesson. If you treat people nice, more often than not, they will return the favor. If they don't, tell them to kick rocks. Another life lesson. Sometimes goals are easier to be obtained when they're written down. Man, listen. I have to keep reminding myself of that. It's a lot easier for me when I write stuff down as opposed to keeping it in my head. Because when I write it down, it's there. I can see it. I can put it on a Post-it note. I can stick it in my office. I can put it on the dashboard of my car, whatever the case may be. I can put it on the mirror in my bathroom. Write it down. You'd be surprised at how much and how far you'll go as to executing those particular goals when you see them every day. Create yourself a vision board. Those help as well. Life lesson. Hard work always pays off. Simple, but it's true. It pays off. I tell my kids that all the time. If you put in the work, it'll pay off. But nobody's going to give you nothing for free. That's not the way the world works. Life lesson. Especially my kids. When it comes to my kids, you're Superman or Superwoman in your kids' eyes. I try not to lose sight of that. You know, I'm pretty sure I can get on my kids' nerves. Lord knows they get on mine from time to time, but I'm still dad. I'm Superman. So at the very least, I have to be strong for them. And whatever being strong is, that's what it is. Another life lesson. Never be afraid to ask for help. Men, let me repeat that because we need to hear this more often than not. Never be afraid to ask for help. It's okay. It's okay. You can't do it all by yourself all the time. Never be afraid to ask for help. Life lesson. Say I love you to those who you love. I think that's big. I think that's extremely big. Just on a personal note, like growing up, I always knew that my parents loved me. That wasn't a question. But, you know, they didn't tell us, me and my brother, like that they loved us a lot. But we knew we were loved. That was without a question. They just weren't people that just say it like that. But it's interesting as we gotten older. I know, like once I went to college, things changed. Yeah. You know, and by the time I got out of college and moved to Atlanta, yeah. And especially once I had a kid, once we had our oldest son, Dion, yeah, it was different then. They were grandparents and, you know, we wouldn't get off the phone without telling each other we loved each other. And I've always loved my parents. I mean, I love them to death. They are my role models. But because my parents didn't tell me that didn't mean that I wasn't going to do that. I tell my kids that every single day, several times a day, that I love them because I do. But even outside of your kids, even for those of you who don't have kids, the people in your life that you love, tell them you love them. There's no shame in that. And they will definitely appreciate it. And more often than not, they'll tell you that they love you too. Life lesson. Stay focused. Oh my God. I say stay focused several times a week. Whether or not I be talking to my kids, my friends, or talking to myself, stay focused. Stay focused. That is so important because in this day and time, it's easy to lose focus. Short attention spans, stuff doesn't stick with people as long. Stay focused. Another life lesson. Never forget the simple things in life. A lot of times the simple things got you to where you are today. Never forget those. Those are the fundamentals. You never forget your fundamentals. Like, you don't get to the NBA and then forget how to shoot. You got to the NBA for a reason. Simple things. Don't take shortcuts. Another life lesson. Take time to reflect on how blessed you are. Again, some people do it the beginning of the year, when they when they come up with their little BS New Year's resolutions. Others do it, when holidays come around, and some do it on their birthdays. But take time to reflect on how blessed you are. It doesn't have to be a special occasion. You can do it each day. I don't care how good things are going. I don't care how bad things are going. If you're listening to this podcast, you're blessed because you're here. And that's more than a lot of people can say. Another life lesson. Take time to thank the people who helped you become who you are. I'm very big on that because I don't think any level of success that I've attained, or not even success, just being who I am, I didn't get what you're seeing and what you're listening to is a polished product. I wasn't always polished. I was very rough around the edges, like most of you listening. In fact, all of you. We all are. And you didn't get to where you are by yourself. Nobody does. So thank those who helped you become who you are. Good or bad. Sometimes it's the people who, had bad experiences with you help you become a stronger person. Be thankful for those. And last but not least, breathe air. Take it in, embrace it, and know that you can't live without air. You can't. You can hold your breath. See how long that'll go. Can't live without air. At one point, we're going to be without air. But until that point comes, embrace the air that you have. Love the air. Breathe it. Inhale it. Take it all in. Enjoy it. Yeah, those are life lessons, man. Those are some life lessons. And trust me, if you do any of these things will be a lot better for you. Sometimes you can forget to do these things, but trust me, try it. You'll be a whole lot better off. That's going to do it for me. Thanks again for checking out the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm your boy 12 Kyle. We'll catch you guys next time. 5 G's.